it's Kelly, and I'm coming to you with another 2-page layout. My series is officially done, but I did say that I would throw one in here and there. And so I thought I'd do one today. I just saw another request on one of the message boards on Facebook, or one of the Facebook groups that I'm on, somebody requesting places, YouTubers, where they could find 2-page layouts. I thought, I still have some 2-page projects to do. I thought I would do that. So I'm also digging back into my Christmas stash because I have a couple of photos from Christmas, from the Christmas time, that I haven't scrapped yet. This one because it was a 2-page layout and I wanted to save that. So what I did is I've pulled a couple of papers to start out with, and that is this paper right here. And this paper is American Crafts Be Merry. It's called Trim the Tree. And I like the green of this background. I like that it's kind of a fresh color background. And just that, I guess that's what I like about it. I like that it's a fresh, like, sort of green color background. It sort of reminds me of Christmas markets because of all the greenery that's there. This photograph probably depicts the colors, actual colors, the best. So that's where I started out. And then I pulled an assortment of other papers that I thought might go with that. And I really almost need to have 2 here because if I don't, I'm not going to be able to get the what do I want to say? I won't be able to get it across the layout how I think I want to do it. Because I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to do something like this. So do like a little border here. And I do like how that looks with those photographs. And then I think what I'll do here, and I'm going to tip this so you can see it, is maybe all the photographs will be at the same height. That's one thing I can tell you that's a really good tip, is if you're doing a cross page and to keep a sight line kind of the same, you want to do that, is start the height in a common sort of way. So the sight line here is going to be common all the way across. So what would happen here with this paper is that then I think I wouldn't continue it all the way. I might bring it out to about here, and maybe I'll round the corner on this side, which could be kind of interesting. We'll see. And then this paper it'll drop below this paper. So maybe I want the border to go just a little bit lower on the bottom here than what I had it. I'll have to kind of look at that as I'm putting this on. I do like this paper. Then I have just this, and that's from Pebbles Home for Christmas. I have this one as well, just a really nice, simple red stripe. This is from Bella Boulevard Christmas Cheer. And I kind of like how that's simple. So that's good. I did pull this from Christmas Cheer as well. I want to see how this will work, how this will highlight these photographs. Okay, so I like this paper a lot, but I don't think it's really popping those photographs off the page like this is. And I'm going to put this other one back on. See how those photographs are just popping on that? Huge, huge difference. And that's one of the things you kind of want to look at just in all of your scrapbooking. But certainly when you have a lot of photographs like this one, I think that makes a lot of sense. Now, here's the other thing that I want to kind of look at, because now I basically have 2 red stripes, and you might say, well, why are you worrying about that so much? Just pick one of them. The only thing is there's a lot going on in these photographs. So, you know, all the dolls here, there's people, there's lots of stuff to look at. And I'm thinking that what I'm going to want to do is go with this more simple red stripe. And the reason being, it's just more simple. And I think because there's so much going on in these photographs, that's where I'm going to go. So and I did have one more paper. I almost forgot. I pulled this as well too. This is Doodlebug Petite Prints. And I kind of knew when I looked at the red stripe that I probably wasn't going to like this as well. I think this is too simple. I think that there needs to be something in this background that's a little bit different. So I think that works for me then. It should use this stripe. So that's definitely what I'm going to use, okay? So that's where I'm going to go with this layout. And let me think. Oh, I know. One other thing I wanted to talk to you about is how did I arrive at how to do these photos, or the arrangement of the photos. So I'm going to take them back off this red stripe now that I know that I'm working with that. And how I decided to configure these, and I just kind of played around with it on my desk first. I'm sorry I did that before I started to video, but I pulled them out and just started working. Sometimes that happens. I can't wait. So anyway, so we read left to right in English-speaking countries. So this is the photo as we walked into the Old World Christmas market that we went to. So I decided that I definitely wanted to use this as my far left photograph. Now, then I have four vertical, well, they're not quite 4x6s because I took them on my phone camera, but, you know, 4x5, and, or maybe I did. Actually, you know what? I think I did configure these. They're not quite 4x6s. They're probably 5 3/4 by 4 wide. Anyway, so I have 4 of those and then 2 horizontal. And what I decided to do is I decided to put the horizontal photographs one on top of the other. So then that left me, if I left this, that left me with 3 vertical photographs left. I use this arrangement of 3 vertical photographs in scrapbooking all the time, together like this with some sort of paper border right below them. So that was an easy call out for me. That then meant that these 2 photographs these two horizontal photographs needed to go with 1. Well, it would have looked kind of funny if I did it like this. Let me show you. It just doesn't look quite right to my eye because it's boom, boom, and that drops off there. So that's how I kind of came on this particular configuration. And then I'm just going to show you a little bit about why I picked photographs to go in a certain area, besides, of course, this first one, the reason I decided to do that. All right, so the reason I decided to do them in the arrangement that they are is there's these 2 photographs here. First of all, I also want this photograph on the right side of a page versus the left, because this woman here, who is not anybody I know, I have some friends here, but this woman here is looking to the left, and it's a major, she's really looking in. So I wanted her to at least be looking into the page. And then these dolls also, these Russian nesting dolls, same kind of thing. The angle I took it at, the photograph at, they're looking into, I want them looking into the page, which means they need to be on the right side of the page. The other thing that I looked at is, where's the weight in this photograph? There's a lot of weight in this bottom photograph just because there are so many dolls here and lots of color. Up here in this photograph, there's less weight to it because it's white and it's more open and more airy. So that's why this photograph is sitting below that photograph. So that gives you a little bit of my thought process there. And those are things you can look at for a regular design process when you have 2 photographs, is where is the weight landing on your page? You want the weight to be towards the bottom so things don't look like they're going to tip over to our eyes. Okay. Next one is I had these 3 photographs. These are some general scenes, just like these are. And then I have this one huge photograph of this pretzel, because we had a little pretzel snack while we were there. None of us had eaten lunch, and we weren't loving all the food. This market, I live in Wisconsin, and there was a lot of brats and things, but we were going out for a really nice dinner after this, so we didn't want anything heavy, thus we had the pretzels. Well, this is huge. It would look kind of odd if it's sitting right here. If you look at it, it's nice flow of general, big thing, nice flow of general. It's like the old Sesame Street, which of these things doesn't belong? This doesn't belong, therefore, that's going to the outside for me. And then again here, this direction is going this way. That woman, I thought, should look into the page versus out of the page, because these will sit in my ring binders across from each other like this. So even though I'm designing a 2-page layout, I also do to some extent think about what the layouts look like next to each other. And if I was designing this just as a single page, I probably would do, I might do it like, no, I think I still would do it like this, just because this is such a big photograph. There's a lot of weight here. It's the outside of this page too, which is another good reason on this 2-page layout that it's there. So there is a lot of my thought process for how I get things to go to start out with. I've grabbed a lot of supplies. I'm not sure if I'm going to have time to do this tonight, but I started getting some ideas about what I wanted this to look like. Things I'm going to use is I grabbed some die cuts from an Old American Crafts. They're clean and bright. I used a lot of Elle Studio this past Christmas. These papers are cleaner and brighter than that. So I may not use any of that product. So a bunch of die cuts. I grabbed journaling cards because here's my thought right now that the journaling cards that I'm going to journal next on this here somewhere, and I don't like that because it's too vertical. This is also too vertical. It's kind of throwing my flow. This Merry Christmas I might use somewhere else in the design. What I thought I might do is this one, and I could shorten that photo up if I wanted it to fit kind of in there. We'll see how that works, because really this journaling card is actually meant to be vertical, but it's I might turn it horizontally. That might though fight that. That's my one question. So I also have a basket, and I'll show you this in just a second, a basket of Elle Studio journaling cards because I bought a couple of packs, and there might be something in here that I can use. Like actually I could use that one too. You know, I might just have a problem because it's so, there's a lot of red, and there's going to be red in the border, and then that'll be coming down a little bit more. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm looking as I'm talking to you. That's a possibility as well too. And I do have some green, so I should probably look through that. I'm hoping you can see this. I just have a little plastic tray. I wasn't using it. I used to keep makeup in my cabinet in my bathroom in this. So that green is probably the wrong green. Yeah, it's a little bit too yellowy and olivey, which then means I don't have a green that will work. So my other option is to go with just one of these journaling cards. The advantage to that is if I decide I want to skinny that up, I can do that here by cutting it. And I could put washi tape across the bottom of that to give it a little bit more flair and style. I've done that before, so I'm going to put that to the side as well too as options. And then I think I just saw this as I was looking. I've got some green and red sequins, and maybe I'll grab those because I haven't used those in ages. I also have snowflakes in here, so that might be something a little bit fun to add. I've got buttons. I have wood veneer here. And then I grabbed these tinsel bows from Chamel's Christmas collection, and I have silver and gold left yet, and I'm thinking because this was a Christmas market, this might be a fun add somewhere on this page in clusters somewhere, because it will remind me of an old world German Christmas market, and I think I can work these out so I can like play with them a little bit so they can be a little bit more horizontal and not quite so vertical if I want to do that. I have some enamel dots here because these are what was left after Christmas, and I happen to be in my local Ben Franklin, which is a kind of discount crafty store near us, and they had 2 more packages, and I bought the last of them because I've used these a ton. I think these are my 3rd package of those that I've gone through. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. I have also, I pulled some stickers from Bella Boulevard because that will work with some of these colors. There's a Christmas tree here because I have that big tree there. That could go on my journaling card as well too, just I'm not quite sure about that. And then I have all my Elle Studio die cuts And if you watched any of my Christmas pages, you saw me do this. I keep them by color. I have so darn many. And they just never seem to go down. So maybe it would be good for me to use them. The other thing I didn't tell you is I think what I'm going to do for my title is I think I'm just going to be not very inventive and write Christmas market. And I think I'm going to do it here, that I do Christmas market right through here. So not sure how that's going to work until I get stuff on the page, and we'll figure that out. But that's my general thought so far. I will put you on fast forward and you can see the rest of the layout. Here we go.
All right, let's get started with the construction of the layout itself. I'm going to use that green star paper that I showed you before. It's from the American Crafts Be Merry collection. It's called Trim the Tree. And I luckily had 2 pieces of that paper. I really wanted the background colors to stretch completely across the layout. I don't always do that, but I definitely wanted to do it in this case, just because there's so many distracting elements in those photographs. Now, one of the things that I did is, right before I was getting ready to start putting this together, I found that piece of yellow paper, and I really decided I wanted to highlight the very first photo to tell your eye for sure where to look. You know, we read left to right in English-speaking cultures, for sure, and your eye does that naturally, but I really wanted to emphasize that, and that gold paper really emphasizes the sign across the door which says Old World Christmas Market. So I really loved the idea of doing that. Now, as I'm looking at this, one of the things I talked to you about in the beginning was that to help kind of lead your eye through the layout when you have a lot of photographs and to give yourself points so things feel organized, you can put your photos all on one line or one starting point. So that's what I'm doing here, is all my photos will be lined up at the same point on the top of the photos in this particular case. That also includes the very first photo, which means that the gold paper is going to stick up above the photo line a little bit. And you'll see how that works when I actually try to put these together. So now what I'm doing is I'm just cutting the pieces of red paper here, which are going to be the background photo mats. And I forgot to tell you that yellow paper, the yellow dot paper, is from Bella Boulevard Christmas Cheer. It's called Christmas Crew. And this red stripe paper is also Bella Boulevard Christmas Cheer. It's the Reindeer Games paper, just so that you know what those are. All right, so there's the yellow paper, and see how I'm looking at that, and I'm being mindful that I want all those photos to line up across the top the same. And what that's doing is I want a little bit thicker bottom border because that gives your eye like a place to rest. So I'm also being mindful of how much of a top border I'm going to have. I need to look at not just the photos, but where the yellow paper is going to hit, because I don't want the gap in the top above the yellow paper to look awkward either. And so I get that figured out. And I like the way that that looks. And now what I'm doing is I'm going to use the 2 pieces across each other there to line up the photo on the right side, the 3 photos on the right side. And they're going to stretch just about all the way across the paper there. All right, and that I use that design on the right side quite a bit for my layouts, where I'll do the 3 photos on a piece of paper and then, you know, embellish it from there. Definitely. If I had used this, though, there's no focal photo. Well, there kind of is. I guess it would be the pretzel. And if I was going to do that, I'd put the pretzel in the middle with the other 2 photos flanking it. Just, you know, to give you an idea of more design concepts here. All right. So now I am looking at this, and I decide I want to round my corner, but I want to know how big that corner round is going to be, so I cut my stripe paper a little bit beyond that, I guess is the best way to explain why I did what I did there. So now I have my corners rounded, and what I want to do here is get the 2 pieces of paper to line up across the gap there. Now I store my layouts in American Crafts 3-ring binders. So it's not like they're sitting exactly next to each other, but if you were to put them next to each other, I want them to do that. I like the flexibility of the 3-ring binders just because I don't scrap chronologically, but I store chronologically, so I want to be able to do that. All right, so those elements are down, and I decided that I'm looking, now at journaling cards here and what I can use. And I'm not liking the journaling cards falling below the line of the lowest photo there. So I'm looking at this Mambi journaling card for Me and My Big Ideas. It's a pack I bought at Recollections quite a few years ago. And I decided to use the little dot side. It's reversible, so you can either use a dot side on one side or a grid side on the other. And I told you that if I use this, I could probably throw a little washi tape on the bottom of it. It's going to be more than throw, but put a little washi tape on the bottom of it just to give it a little bit of design. And I do that frequently. So I was thinking about using yellow because the photo is yellow there, but I decided that then there would be yellow just on that right side, and I really didn't like that. Then I thought there was too much yellow because I was bringing it into other elements. It is the only place in the layout that the yellow is going to appear, but that's good because it brings your eye right to that photograph because it's different. All right, so that washi tape has a little red heart on it. It's either Recollections or the Paper Studio. I don't know which, though. I forgot to label it when I bought it, but I think it's actually Recollections. So now I'm kind of looking at embellishing, and I found that I had that puffy tree from the Elle Studio 'Tis the Season collection. It's the puffy stickers. I really liked that idea because there was a lot of greenery on the booths. There were trees flanking the entrance. There was a big tree in the middle. So it's one of those things that helps me remember the day. Like, it brings me back to the day. Lisa E. from YouTube has a class that talks about that, about bringing your, putting things on your layout that help you recall the day. So now I'm using some tinsel bows, and I talked about that in the introduction, from Chamel's Christmas Magic collection, and I use the tinsel again here because there was a lot of tinsel, and it's a German Christmas market. There's tinsel on trees. There's tinsel on that tree right in the middle photograph, in the photographs on the right side there. So I really wanted to use those bows because, again, that helps me bring that that day to mind. Then I've used quite a few die cuts here. Those are from the American Crafts Peppermint Express collection, and it's the Figments cardstock shapes. And I used a delivery van, I used some candy canes, and I used an ornament, and then I cut apart a little character with an airplane dragging a Merry Christmas banner, and I just cut it apart, and I'm using the Merry Christmas banner. And then the candy canes as well. So like the special delivery helps me remember that I bought Christmas presents, and I bought something for myself there as well to display at Christmas. And then the ornaments, remind me of the trees. They had a couple ornament booths, so that helped me remember that too. I did put a little banner strip up there on the top left there that says Jingle All the Way. And that banner came from Bella Boulevard Christmas Cheer from the Trinkets, which are their sticker sheets. And now I'm using the wood buttons from Chamel Christmas Magic. The wooden buttons is what they're actually called. And I'm going to end up using 3 of them on the layout scattered across. I'm not going to put them in every embellishment cluster here. And if you look, I technically kind of have 5 embellishment clusters because I have the tree, the delivery van, the banner one, the ornament one on the top, and then the candy canes. Although the little one with the delivery van is going to be the only piece in that quote cluster. All right, so I'm going to start putting these elements down now too, so that I can start getting my clusters arranged. And the bows and how to arrange them I kind of got stuck on that for a while, I guess is the way to explain that. I couldn't figure out how to get them down so that you weren't seeing a lot of different patterns within the loops of the bow. And eventually I just give it up and put them down and relax about it. And I love that I've used these. There's gold tinsel bowls in that package as well, but I think so far I've really only used silver. I think it's just because the colors that I've been scrapbooking with when I've used them really lend themselves to the silver versus the gold for some reason. And this one definitely, it makes me think of it, and I tend to think of tinsel, I think, in silver versus gold. But definitely the tinsel that appeared at this Christmas market really was silver, it wasn't gold. All right, so I'm playing, I really want something up in that cluster with the banner, but it's just not working for me. They're too big, I guess. I ended up putting a tree button in the ornament cluster, and in the candy cane cluster, it's a little peppermint button, and then in the tree cluster down there in the bottom left, it's a tree. And I like that they have different colors of green. There's about 3 different colors of green on this layout, which and actually 4 now that I'm putting this down. I grabbed my October Afternoon Pop Drops just to add a little bit more dimension. I'm going to add that, look at adding like some enamel dots here. So I added that little green enamel dot with the delivery van there, and then I have a Christmas tree up by the bow. That kind of solved me putting another element up there, and I'll add another element into the cluster in just a little bit there too. So now I'm playing around again, not loving the positioning of that bow because I'm seeing too many pieces and trying to figure out, do I want to move the wood button, although it ends up back where it was originally. So I'm thinking about another bow, and you can see there that I have a couple of gold ones left and a silver one. So the next big thing on my list of to-dos for this layout is I need to add in a title here. And I'm just going to call it the Christmas Market. So I did toy with using it. I love these peppermint candy cane thickers, but with the stripe on the paper, it was just too much. So I go to my American Crafts thickers in the journal font, and it's just the red color. I like them because they're a nice thin font, so when you spell out a longer title, it's really easy to get the entire title on here. Now, I'm just going to call it Christmas Market. It was the Old World Christmas Market, but that title would be getting kind of long, and I wanted the title to flow across the layout, but not to take over the layout, I guess. So I wanted it to end before the end of that red pattern paper on the right side. And also, if I could get it to do it end before the cluster on the bottom right with the 2 candy canes too. All right. So I just about have all the letters down. And what I'm going to do here is, I like the placement there, so I'm going to place them underneath, basically underneath the red paper, but I am going to have them touch that red stripe paper. And the reason I'm doing that is it gives a place for the title to rest again. And like the photographs, the top of it is touching the line, kind of like the photograph, that was one of my cats, if you heard that, chasing across the floor. Anyway, it sits across the top of that line, so it's giving it a place to rest. So it almost looks like this title is hanging, although I am putting it across a line of stars as well too. But that just gives you another spot. All right. So I have that title down. And then I saw these little asterisks, and I thought, oh, I could add this in. So I end up putting one in that top cluster up there. I'm going to add one next to the little delivery van there. And I'm hoping you can see this because I decided that I needed to add another one somewhere else. and it was a little bit too much up in that top cluster. There we go. So I put it in the bottom. There's the still shots and followed by a couple of detail shots. Hope you are all well, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye!